Okay, it's 2017, and you're watching Wonder Woman. It's the last act of the movie. You've seen Diana defy her mother and leave Themyscira, learn about mankind, and now she's fighting Ares, the god of war. It looks like she might lose this battle, but she's about to unlock some powers based on what she's learned. His attacks no longer hurt her. She marches forward and says,
"And I believe in love."
What? This has bothered me for a long time, so I'm finally gonna talk about it.
And I'm so sick of people saying that love is just all a woman is fit for.
1. Distilling everything down to love denies the inherent value of human life. What if she didn't love Steve? Would she just let all of humanity die? 2. I can't see this being the takeaway lesson of a superhero film with a male main character.
It's about what you believe. And I believe in love.
And 3. The movie was building to a better lesson and line about mankind. It was sitting right there. So let's dissect the Wonder Woman film and what Diana could have said instead in the final battle. Before we begin, some caveats. It's a miracle that any movie gets made, and who knows if there were production issues or studio interference that pushed the film to go in this direction. The script has the same lines. The power of love or friendship conquering all is a theme sometimes seen in media, most notably in Care Bears 2, where they Care Bear stare down the embodiment of evil and then teach him to care. I just think there's a different lesson for the Wonder Woman film. And maybe Diana's proclamation is meant as a generic love for all humanity. But the scene and final monologue lean romantic. Wonder Woman as a character ties into comic book history, the DCEU, and mythology. We are treating this as its own film. And I do like the movie. Now that those are out of the way, throughout the film, there are 4 characters who provide perspective on mankind: Hippolyta, Ares, Diana, and Steve Trevor. Let's take a look at what each of them says. At the beginning, Hippolyta tells young Diana about the history of the Amazons and mankind. While Zeus created men to be fair and good, strong and passionate, Ares corrupted their hearts. The gods created the Amazons to influence men's hearts with love and restore peace. Peace returned. Note that here, Antiope, who is secretly training Diana, starts narrating. She says that the peace did not last, and Hippolyta led a revolt to free the Amazons. Hippolyta continues, saying that Ares retreated after Zeus weakened him. Zeus knew that Ares might return and start an endless war where men destroyed themselves and the Amazons. Antiope interjects and says that Zeus left them with a weapon to kill Ares. Hippolyta says that Zeus created the island to hide them from Ares. As an aside, the split narration could just be for the audience. However, Hippolyta looks surprised when Diana asks about the god killer, which means she didn't mention it. And as we find out, the god killer is actually Diana. Later, Steve Trevor arrives and tells them about World War I. Hippolyta says that men are easily corrupted and the world of men doesn't deserve Diana. Let's skip to the end of the movie and see what Ares has to say. Ares was disguised as Sir Patrick. He finally reveals his true identity, and he tries to get Diana to join him. Ares says that men have always been weak, cruel, selfish, ugly, filled with hatred, and capable of the greatest horrors. He says men are evil and ruin the world day by day. He just had to whisper the ideas to them. Men would start the wars on their own. Men do not deserve Diana's protection, and rather, they deserve to be destroyed. So, it looks like Ares is saying the same thing as Hippolyta. Men are corruptible, and they don't deserve Diana's help. These are the ideas that bookend the movie. So, what does Diana learn that counteracts this point of view? We first hear how Diana feels after Steve tells the Amazons about World War I. She believes that Ares is behind the corruption, is the Amazonian responsibility to stop him, and she can't stand by while innocent lives are lost. She hasn't absorbed her mother's beliefs, and in fact it sounds like she's been listening to Antiope, who wanted to train her to fight Ares. Throughout the film's second act, Diana continues to reiterate her point of view while learning about the outside world. She believes that the corruption of the German army will stop once Ares is defeated. As a side note, I love this reverse rom-com moment with this dress montage, where Diana ends up in plain clothing and puts on glasses instead of taking them off. Her idealism starts to get challenged. She sees that a general is flippant about his soldiers' lives, people fight without honor, and weapons kill innocent people. She wants to help everyone, but she can't. She goes rogue to follow her ideals, to free a Belgian town, and to infiltrate a gala where she thinks Ares is. By the end of the second act, she begins to believe that Ares has corrupted Steve and all men, not just the German army. So far, though, she still believes that Ares is the cause of the corruption and everything will stop with his defeat. Diana defeats Ludendorff, who she believes is Ares. When the fighting doesn't stop, she is astounded. She now sees her mother's point. The problem is not that men are corrupted. The problem is that they can be corrupted at all. Ares later echoes this. Diana tells Steve that her mother was right. The world of men doesn't deserve her. This is the crux of it. Why does humanity deserve her help? Steve has been the representative for the human experience throughout the film. On Themyscira, he says,
If you see something wrong happening in the world, you can either do nothing or you can do something.
He explains what life without war would be like. Diana grew up without war, while Steve's life has been marked by 4 years of war. Yet, he still has hope that he can help end the war. When Diana asks why the fighting hasn't stopped, Steve says people aren't always good. Diana says they don't deserve her help. Steve says that it's not about what's deserved, it's about what you believe. If she believes the war should stop, she should help him, because if she doesn't, thousands more will be killed. So, to revisit the final battle, she starts fighting Ares. Steve returns to say goodbye before he sacrifices himself. And Diana gets renewed strength as she remembers what Steve said. And when the film returns to the modern day, she says,
Only love can truly save the world.
So, that's the lesson? During the film, Diana was learning about the human experience. She sees a baby, she talks with Etta, and watches as Steve goes rogue to do what's right. She passes by wounded soldiers, witnesses Charlie's PTSD, and sees the town celebrate after they expel the German forces. The film was building towards this complex view of humanity, with the strong ethics of protecting the innocent and stopping war, which all gets swept aside to the simple message of love can save the world. This moment would be stronger if the lesson was changed to tie back to Diana's true convictions. Diana already believes that she should fight for those who can't fight for themselves, and that innocent lives are being lost. Her idealism may have faltered, but it is her strength. Steve reminds her of her true convictions when he says thousands more will be killed. Changing the lesson would also reinforce her identity both as an Amazon and as a god. As an Amazon, it is her responsibility to restore peace. As a god, it is her responsibility to protect men and defeat Ares. With all of her experiences, she can now unite her ideals with her purpose. And sure, there are lines indicating that she has accepted a complex view of humanity, but they are swept aside under the banner of love can save the world. Here's how I would rewrite the scene. The wildest part? It would only take a few tweaks. These changes would show how she has learned and grown, while still staying true to her beliefs. They would also be more inclusive of all of humanity, not just men at war. Diana sees the explosion of the plane. She has renewed strength. When presented with the option of killing Dr. Poison, she still has the flashbacks to what Steve says. But the flashbacks continue. The key moments of her learning about the human experience. She tosses the tank aside. She says,
"They're everything you say, but so much more."
Ares says they do not deserve your protection. Diana replies,
"It's not about deserve, it's about what you believe."
And finally, how I would change the next line. I believe man may cause suffering, but they weren't made to suffer. They were made to live. Phew. It finally feels good to let this one go. Hey, thanks so much for watching the video. What are your thoughts on the first Wonder Woman? Drop a comment down below. It was fun to revisit this film, even though I find it so aggravating. If you liked this video and want to see more, please subscribe.